Hi, and welcome to today's 4 Minute Mark. And we're actually in the final stretch here in Mark. We're in Mark chapter 16, and we're going to be starting at verse 4. Remember, the women went to the tomb, and they were wondering who's going to move the stone. But when they looked up, they saw that the stone, which was very large, had been rolled away. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed. So the stone was rolled away. And I think we as Christians can take comfort in this. Yes, it's a miracle that Jesus came back from the dead. That's the main miracle. But also that a grave wouldn't hold him. Uh, I go out to the West Side Cemetery to conduct services. There are people who have laid in those graves for decades. Will that stop them from rising when Christ comes again? The idea that the stone is moved away shows us that the graves will be opened, they will be emptied, nothing will stop them from rising again. God can do anything, okay? And then they see this young man. Of course, some versions call it angels, which is really what it is. It's an angel in the form of a young man sitting there in a white robe, and they were alarmed. Wouldn't you be if you walked into a tomb and there was somebody sitting there in a white robe and the person you came to see is gone? Let's go on to verse 6. Don't be alarmed, he said. You were looking for Jesus the Nazarene who was crucified. He is risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid him. But go tell his disciples and Peter, he is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him just as you were told. Why do you think the angel calls Jesus Jesus of Nazareth, the Nazarene? Well, I think that the angel is stressing here that Jesus was a real person, a real human body from a real physical location. He had a real hometown, and this real person was raised from the dead. Okay, it wasn't a phantom. It wasn't Jesus as some sort of being from beyond who came down here and pretended to die. Jesus is a man, Nazarene, who died, and now he's back again. He was crucified, but he is risen. He's not here. See where they laid him? And then go tell his disciples and Peter, he's going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him just as he told you. Again, we're seeing that the crucifixion and the resurrection were all part of God's plan. Jesus told them about it in advance. This was all God having things under control, even something as drastic as the crucifixion. God has things in control in our lives as well. So go tell the disciples. It's interesting that God chooses women to be the ones to spread the news about the initial news about the resurrection. Because in those days, testimony of women was considered to be nonsense. Okay, it was considered, in the courts, it wouldn't even stand in court. Women do not testify in courts. But God, always flipping things around, showing he doesn't think the way that we do, says, in a society where women are shunned and put down, I'm going to have women be the first witnesses to the resurrection of Jesus Christ. I think that's pretty cool. Verse 8, trembling and bewildered, the women went out and fled the temple. They said nothing to anyone because they were afraid. Trembling and bewildered. Well, who can blame them? And it's interesting that they are bewildered because again and again the Bible is talking about its culture. The resurrection was not part of their thinking. Some of them believed that there would be a resurrection at the end times, in the when the Messiah came and ruled in Jerusalem. But the idea that the end times haven't come yet and there's a resurrection, it wouldn't even cross their minds. Which shows us again that the resurrection was from God, not humans making it up. So here the women are bewildered, they're trembling, they're scared, and they leave. Okay, we'll pick up there tomorrow.